صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.
The call to prayer echoed through the streets of Medina, filling the air with peace and tranquility. The sun was high up, right in the middle of the sky, shining brightly. The streets of Medina were alive with people going about their daily activities. There were children playing a game of tag, running and squealing with joy as they tried to catch each other in the midst of the crowd. There were women chatting to each other as they finished up their morning chores, just in time to get ready for Salatul Dhuhr. There were shopkeepers offering to sell the last of their goods as they also packed up and got ready to close down for the afternoon. Amidst the hustle and bustle, a woman sat quietly on her doorstep. Beside her sat her sweet, charming little boy, happily munching away on a big bowl full of juicy, ripe dates. He popped one in his mouth, and then another, and then another, and another, and another, until the bowl was almost empty. He loved dates, perhaps a little too much. The mother sighed, her heart heavy with concern. Her son ate so many dates every day that she was worried it might not be good for him.
My dear son, don't eat so many dates. Don't you remember what the doctor said? It's not good for you.
His mother sighed again, gently putting her arm around her son.
Mama, just this last few, I promise.
The boy replied between mouthful of dates. And then a gentle breeze came over the city, swaying the tall palm trees and bringing instant relief from the heat of the desert. The birds chirped happily, and the camels stopped in their tracks and lifted their heads. The bustling city went from loud and energetic to peaceful and calm. A beautiful scent filled the air. Everyone turned to look at one man who was making his way to the masjid. Some people started walking behind him without even realizing. Do you know who this man was, children? Yes, you're absolutely right. This man was no other than the Prophet of Allah, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. The energetic, date-loving little boy's face lit up as he jumped up and raced towards the Prophet. He remembered how Prophet Muhammad always said salam to him and his friends when he passed them playing in the street. The Prophet always patted their heads kindly. Sometimes he even lifted them up on his shoulders and played with them. How fun it was to see everything from way up on his shoulders. Now, Prophet Muhammad was always very quick when it came to saying salam first. He always managed to say salam before they could and get more of the thawab. But today, the little boy wanted to be the first one to say salam to the Prophet. Now, this was his chance. As he reached the Prophet, he smiled shyly and was about to utter a salam, but the Prophet beat him to it again.
Salam alaikum, my dear son.
Alaykum salam, ya Rasulallah.
He was a little disappointed, but he loved the Prophet so much and was just so excited to see him that he couldn't help but hold back a grin. The boy's mother proudly watched her son speaking with Prophet Muhammad. And just then, she had a brilliant idea. Perhaps if the Prophet told her son to stop eating so many dates, he would listen. All the kids loved listening to the Prophet and did whatever he would tell them to do. He always advised them with so much love that they wouldn't ever want to say no to him. So when her son came back to her, she told him,
Let's go to the masjid to pray today, shall we?
Yes, yes, yes.
said the little boy happily, jumping up and down with excitement. She held her little boy's hand, which still held a few sticky dates, and made her way to the Prophet's mosque, determined to seek his help today. After the salah was over, she swiftly made her way to the Holy Prophet. He was surrounded by people as usual, offering guidance and wisdom to anyone in need. The woman waited in the long line patiently. She could not help but notice how beautiful and luminous the Prophet's face was. Subhanallah. When it was her turn to speak, she respectfully approached the Prophet, greeted him, and then said,
O Messenger of Allah, my son eats too many dates. I fear it may harm him. Please, would you tell him not to eat too many of them at one time?
The Prophet looked at the boy, smiled kindly, and stroked his hair. Then he turned to the mother, and to her surprise he said,
Come back tomorrow and I'll speak to him then.
The woman was puzzled. Why wouldn't the Prophet advise her son just then? But she trusted the wisdom of the Prophet and decided she would return to him tomorrow. The next day, the woman woke up bright and early. She made sure she did all the cooking and housework before the afternoon. She bathed her son and got him ready in his best clothes. As soon as she heard the beautiful sound of the adhan,
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
she held her son's hand and they both made their way to the masjid. After Salah, Prophet Muhammad was waiting for her and her son. Wow, how amazing is the Prophet! He remembered to speak to them even though he was so busy. After they greeted each other, the Prophet kindly took the boy aside and he gently and lovingly advised him.
My dear boy, you shouldn't eat so many dates. It's not good for you to eat so many dates at one time.
The boy, hearing these words from the Prophet, nodded his head in agreement, promising the Prophet that he would eat fewer dates from now on. The mother was relieved. She profusely thanked the Prophet, and just as she was about to leave, a question popped up in her mind. She turned around and asked the Prophet curiously,
Ya Rasulallah, O Messenger of Allah, why did you not tell my son this the first time we came to you?
The Prophet smiled, his eyes full of sincerity and wisdom, and replied,
When you first came to me, I had just eaten dates. How could I tell your son not to do something that I had just done myself? So I told you to come today when I hadn't eaten any dates.
The mother stood in awe. What a man the Prophet was! He didn't just speak words, he lived by them. He taught not only through his words, but through his actions. Seeing this from the Prophet, the people in the masjid felt even more love and respect for the Prophet. The woman's heart was full, not just because her son would now eat fewer dates, but because she had learned an important lesson, that if you want your words to have an effect, you have to make sure that you act on them yourself. As she and her son headed back to their house, she looked back to where the Prophet was standing. In the masjid, just like bees to flowers, everyone surrounded the Prophet, trying to take some light from him, learn from him, and just be by his side. Everyone loved the Prophet, and I'm sure you all love the Prophet too. So let's send our salawat to him and thank Allah for sending us the bestest Prophet ever. Allahumma salli ala محمد وآل محمد.
I wanna walk like you, talk like you, read my Quran just like you. Wanna be like you in everything I do. You are the closest to Allah. I wanna smile like you, breathe like you, read my salat just like you. Wanna be like you in everything I do. Yeah.